Hi, Joanne Peters here again, a partner at the law firm of Isaac Brandt, Ledman, and Teeter in Columbus, Ohio. Our phone is 614-221-2121. Want to talk to employers today briefly about the issue of worker classification. Are your workers employees or are your workers independent contractors? There are many employers that, in order to avoid the hassle of withholding taxes from an employee's paycheck, perhaps to avoid paying benefits, etc., will hire someone as an independent contractor with the idea that that person will then be responsible for their own payment of taxes, that the employer won't have to bother with withholdings. Also with the idea that the employer won't have to pay workers' compensation premiums because the person is not an employee. The problem here is if you hire someone as an independent contractor that really fits more at the level of being an employee, and you haven't paid taxes or you haven't paid workers' compensation premiums for a period of time, you risk the government, both state and federal, in terms of taxes, coming back and saying you misclassified your employee as an independent contractor, and we now want the taxes that were owed to us, or the Bureau of Workers' Compensation coming and saying you misclassified these employees as independent contractors. We want the premiums that you should have paid for covering these employees under workers' compensation. And I can tell you I have a client, and it didn't involve the state of Ohio but involved another state, that recently had an inquiry by the Department of Job and Family Services, or unemployment compensation entity in a state, and said, hey, we don't think you've properly classified your workers. We think they're employees, not independent contractors, and here is a several $1,000 back taxes bill. So this is a real concern, and in particular, last year, both our state government here in Ohio and also the federal government began initiatives to share information between departments to try to uncover misclassifications. So what are the key things you as an employer need to be focused on as to whether or not you are employing an employee or an independent contractor? I should say hiring an employee or an independent contractor. Well, there's a 20-factor test that the Internal Revenue Service looks at, as well as state agencies and some state agencies in Ohio, Department of Taxation, etc. It's a lot of different factors. I won't go into all of them in the video, but think about these two things. Think about what is the behavioral control that you have over the worker, and what is the financial control that you have over the worker. Behavioral means, are you directing when they work, how they work, where they work, how they do the job? The more of those behavioral controls you have, the more likely the worker will be classified as an employee. Alternatively, if you hire someone for a project, you don't tell them when they have to do it, how they have to do it, just what they need to get done in the end, well, then that can be something that would lend towards a person being an independent contractor. Financial controls, how are you paying the person? Are they salaried? Are they paid per the job? Are there incentives, bonuses, things like that the person can get? These are all things in terms of financial control, how much control you exert over what the person can earn, also is what the agencies will look at to determine whether or not the employee is misclassified. There, like I said, 20-factor test, many other things I could talk about. I'm not going to belabor this video with them, but give me a call, 614-221-2121, if you want to talk about this topic more.